Hello all. Okay, so today you're making stir fry, which is a Chinese cooking technique where all the ingredients are fried in a small amount of hot oil whilst being stirred in either a wok or a large frying pan. It's a really healthy main meal that you can make with lots of different varieties of ingredients, and you can add at least 2 or 3 of your 5 a day of fruit and vegetables that you need each day. You can add poultry, meat, fish, alternative proteins can be used like tofu, so it's a really versatile dish. Make sure the ingredients you are using are already prepared, so you'll need to prepare them all first. Do not overload the pan with ingredients, otherwise the ingredients will start to steam rather than cook quickly and fry. So the recipe is in your recipe book on page 72. Okay, so you've got a list of ingredients here that you can choose from. You can use lots of leftover ingredients as well, so just think about what's already in your fridge as well. But try and pick maybe 5 or 6 ingredients from the list on page 72 plus 1 flavouring. Okay, so I have picked for my stir fry, I have got a yellow pepper, some mushrooms, some baby corn, some some spring onions. I've then got some bean sprouts and some rice noodles, and then the flavouring I have chosen is this coconut and lemongrass sauce. Okay, so lots of different varieties in there. You'll also need some vegetable oil. Okay, don't use olive oil because that will make your ingredients burn too quickly. So vegetable oil is the best oil to use. Now you need to make sure that you have washed all of your ingredients first, okay, especially the bean sprout. So using a colander, one of these, give all of your vegetables a wash. You will need a wooden spoon and either a wok or a large frying pan, something like this. Okay. I'm also going to add some chicken to mine. You could add some prawns, you could add some tofu, you could just leave it as a vegetarian option and just add lots of different vegetables. Okay, so I've got some chicken in here that's just been taken out of the fridge. Okay, now remember that you need to wash your hands, wear a clean apron, remove any jewellery, tear your hair back if it's long. Wipe your work surfaces with antibacterial spray, get out your equipment and only cook when an adult is present. Okay? You will be using sharp knives to cut up your vegetables, so be very careful with the sharp knife. Always hold it by the handle pointing down. You will use the 2 different cutting techniques called the bridge and claw technique. Okay, I'll show you what to do with that in a minute. Never put your knife in a bowl of hot soapy water and just leave it there, because somebody could easily come into the kitchen, put their hand in the water and cut themselves. Okay, when you come to wash up your knife, always make sure that when you wash it up, you have the blunt side towards your cloth and you're just doing 1 stroke of the knife so it's clean, and then that's the same when you come to dry it. Okay, don't go up and down the knife, just 1 stroke down on the knife, and that should be it, sufficient. Then you dry your knife up and put it safely away where it's stored in your kitchen. When you come to use your wok, okay, remember safety when using the hob. So always make sure that the pan handle is pointing in. Never have the pan handle pointing out like so. Somebody could easily walk by it and knock it off. So make sure the pan handle is pointing in. Okay. If you are using something like a raw meat or raw chicken, like what I'm using here, you've got to remember the rules about cross-contamination. Now, cross-contamination is the process when bacteria is transferred from one substance or object to another. Okay, so it could be transferred from your hands after touching the chicken, and then you touch a cooked product. Or it could be transferred from the chopping boards or the utensils. So always use different utensils for cutting up raw meat than you do the vegetables. So for example, I've got coloured chopping boards here. You might not have these at home, but you may have two different separate chopping boards that you can use. So the ones I've got here, I'll use the red one for raw meat, and then I'll use the green one for cooked product. For my vegetables, sorry. Okay, I've got a blue one here that would be for fish, and then white one for cooked vegetables. Okay, so I'm going to be using the red and the green one to avoid cross contamination. And then I've got two separate knives, one to cut up my meat, one to cut up my vegetables. It's really important as well that you do not wash raw meat. If you do, when you put it under the tap, the splatters of water could go around your work area, and droplets of the bacteria from the meat could easily go onto your work surface. So you do not need to wash raw poultry or raw meat. Okay, the cooking process will kill any bacteria. When you are storing raw meat in the fridge, make sure it's covered, so in a tight container like so, or it's covered with cling film, and it's stored on the bottom shelf of your fridge. Okay, your fridge must be at 0 to 5 degrees C as well, so why not check your fridge to see it is at the right temperature. Alright, so let's get cooking. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is prepare my vegetables. So remember I said the bridge and claw method. So let me just move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, so bridge and claw method. Alright. So let's start off with my yellow pepper. So the bridge method, with your hand in the shape of a bridge, hold in whatever it is you're cutting up, okay, so you've got a good secure grip. With your knife, the knife goes under the bridge, and I can cut that then in half. Okay, that's keeping the blade then well away from my fingers. Alright, now I want to remove these seeds, so I'm going to do a V cut to remove these seeds. So again, a bridge method, a V that way, and that way, and then I can remove those seeds. Remember the rule, clean as you go. So any vegetable waste can be put maybe on a piece of kitchen towel, and you'll throw all of that away at the end. Okay, so that's the bridge method. Claw method then, so hand like a claw, thumb behind your fingers and securely gripping whatever it is you're cutting up. Okay, and you can see I've just bent my fingers back, so my fingers again are well away from the blade, and I'm just going to chop this into, I want quite large chunks for this stir fry. Okay, I don't want it too small because I want to keep texture to the vegetables. Alright, so quite large pieces of the pepper. I've got a plate here to put my prepared vegetables on. So V-cut again, remove those seeds, and then claw method, again into large pieces because I want to keep that texture. Okay. Right, my spring onion. So I've already cut some of them. So I'm going to cut the rest. So I'm going to cut just the very top and the very bottom off. The same with this one. So I've got about 4 spring onions here. And I'm going to cut this just at a slight slant. Okay, I'm thinking about the aesthetics of the product as well, the way it looks. So I want it to look good as well as tasting good. Okay, these go onto my prepared plate here. My mushrooms, so remember I've washed all of these vegetables already. So bridge method, I'm going to cut that in half, and then on the flat surface in half again, so we've got quarters. Again, keeping it nice and big to keep that texture when I come to stir frying these. And then I've got some baby corn. Okay, all I'm going to do with this, cut that into thirds. Okay, right, so that's my vegetables all prepared. So my dirty pots go onto the dirty side of my sink. Okay, let's have a quick wipe of the work surface. And then I will prepare the chicken. So with a different chopping board. So I've got one chicken breast here. This is going to serve 2 people. A different knife. Right, with the chicken, I'm just going to cut this just into bite-sized pieces. So that piece there that I've just cut off, that's called the inner fillet. Okay, so let's cut that up first. And then in strips. And then into bite-sized pieces like this. Now remember, once you start to handle the chicken, do not go touching everything else until you have washed your hands. Okay, so there's my chicken prepared. Alright, so wash my hands. So I've got a bowl of hot soapy water already prepared here. So I don't need to touch any of the taps. Alright, so now then it's time to start cooking this. Okay, it's really quick, really easy. And like I said before, very versatile. So I'm going to add then about a tablespoon of oil into my pan. Let's bring the camera a little bit closer so you can see. There we go. So about a tablespoon of oil into my frying pan. And then you want it on a medium heat. To heat that up. I'm going to be using a wooden spoon when I'm cooking the stir fry. If I use a metal spoon, it will be a heat it will start to conduct the heat and you will burn your hand. Okay, so use a wooden spoon when you are cooking. I just heat that up. I've got it on a medium heat, and I'm going to cook the chicken first. You can use already cooked chicken, so you may have some cooked chicken already in your fridge that you can use. Okay, so you don't need to use raw chicken all the time. Alright, so you're going to add your chicken and you're going to cook that until it turns white. Alright, so that started to turn white, you can see, and then when I break open a piece of the chicken, there's no pink in the middle. Okay, so you need to make sure there's no pink chicken, uncooked chicken in there. So if you're using chicken, do that first. You can then add in your vegetables. Okay, so I'm going to add them all in. So in goes my peppers, my mushrooms, my baby corn, my spring onions. And then I'm going to stir fry that for about 2 minutes. Okay, and it's important you keep it moving. and you have it on a high heat. Now because you're having it on a high heat and you've got oil in here, be very, very careful, okay, if it's going to be hot. So keep that moving, keep that frying. You don't want to stew or steam the vegetables. You want to retain that texture. This is a really healthy way of cooking as well, because you're going to retain all of the nutrients in these vegetables. So there's lots of vitamin C in here, lots of vitamin E, there's vitamin D in the mushrooms, you've got protein in your chicken, so a very healthy dish. So after about 2 minutes of cooking that, you can then add in your bean sprouts, if you're using bean sprouts. And make sure these have been washed. Okay, add those in. Again, adopting that rule, clean as you go, keeping the area nice and tidy. Then move that around your wok or your frying pan, whatever it is you're using. After another 2 minutes, you can then add your noodles if you're using noodles, or if you're just using your vegetables and your bean sprouts, you may at this point want to add in your sauce. Okay, but I'm going to add some rice noodles. Yeah, they're a little bit thinner than the egg noodles that you can buy. So these are being already cooked. Okay, so I'm going to add a handful of that in. Cook that for another 2 minutes. Keep moving it around. Right, the sauce that I'm using then, like I said earlier, is a coconut and lemongrass sauce. You could add some garlic, you could just add soy sauce, which is really nice in stir fry. You could make it sweet and sour and add a sweet and sour sauce. If you're doing that, you might want to add some pineapple in here as well. Again, it's totally up to you, very versatile. And this smells delicious. Okay, let's add the sauce now then. Final touch, it all goes in. Rubbish in the bin, clean as you go. And then cook that for about another 1 minute. Making sure the sauce coats all of your ingredients. Okay. So get some bowls or some plates ready so you can serve it straight away for your dinner. Okay, alright, let's turn that off. Stir it all around. looks absolutely delicious. Serve that between 2 bowls. And there you've got yourself perfectly healthy stir fry, full of vitamins, full of minerals, quick and easy to make. You've learned lots of different knife skills. You've learned about cross-contamination. Going to add some spring onions just on the top. Delicious. Enjoy. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have made and tasters' comments. So take a picture, get some tasters' comments, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you've done. Bye.